monologue is coming of age. And I am playing the part of a 70-year-old woman.
No.
I'm not quite 70 yet.
She knows where behind the outhouse is.
I was supposed to call my husband when I got out of customs. That was 3 hours ago. I've just been sitting here watching people come and go, mainly go. Max doesn't like to wait around at the airport. That's why he told me to call him when I finished in customs. That was 3 hours ago. Oh, I think I already told you that. I'm sorry, sometimes I forget. Max is always afraid I'm going to forget something. He didn't want me to take this trip. He said he thought I'd forget to come home. Well, I didn't. I just don't know if I want to go home. I never traveled much before. Well, except for that one time that we went to Tennessee. Max called it a vacation, but it wasn't. He had business and decided to write it off, so he took me along. He said, let the IRS pay for the trip. We'll get a free vacation. But he finished his work, and we packed everything up and came home. He said he thought the IRS would question it if we stayed too long there. This is the only trip I've had, or vacation I've had in 51 years. Max and I have been married 51 years. Funny, but it seems longer than that. I wonder why. Max likes to drive. He drove on that trip to Tennessee. He wouldn't let me drive. He said, women drive to the store. Men drive across the country. And he said it would be funny having your wife drive while the man just sat there. He said it would be kind of like having your wife go to work while the man stayed home. Unheard of. So, anyway, so I didn't drive. Did I tell you Max likes to drive? He drove me to the airport last month. He said, why pay for a cab when you have a perfectly good car at home? So he drove me there. Max says, don't talk when I'm talking. So I don't talk. He said, you know that pouch you have around your neck? Make sure to take your passport in there along with your medical history and $100. Put $100 or $50 in each side of your bra and $100 in each shoe. But only take $20 in your money belt, Edna. That's important, he said. $20 in single bills. He said, that way, if they cut off your belt in the crowd, they'll only get away with $20. And make sure they're single bills, because by the time they finish counting them, you'll be gone. And they won't get your other money. So I asked who they were. And he said, foreigners, Edna, foreigners. And I said, well, in their country, we're the foreigners. And he said, I'm talking, Edna. And he just kept right on talking. He said, the water, don't drink the water. And brush your teeth only with bottled water. Be sure that you eat only thick-skinned fruit like bananas. Stay away from the apples and the pears. Oranges and grapefruit would be okay, I suppose. But don't eat anything that you don't recognize, he said. Make sure that your meat is always cooked, Edna. That's important, he said. Cooked, not raw. And never from a street vendor. Even if you see other people eating their food, you don't. No street food, Edna, that's important. Everything Max says is important. Sometimes I wonder why he doesn't just start off his day by saying, Edna, everything I'm going to say today is important. It would sure save a lot of time. And time is important to Max. He dropped me off at the airport with 4 hours to spare and dropped me off at the curb. Max doesn't pay for parking if he doesn't have to. He's very frugal. So there I stood wearing a sensible straw hat and a bottle of salt pills in one pocket and aspirin in the other, and my luggage not 1 ounce heavier than the airline would allow. and not a fraction of an inch taller or wider. Max says that the airlines supplement their low fares by charging extra for the luggage. He says there's a conspiracy with the luggage makers. They know exactly what size the airline will allow, and they make the luggage an inch bigger. Max says there's lots of conspiracies. I don't know much about that sort of thing, but Max says not to worry. He'll always be there to protect me. I just wonder from what. My daughter agrees with her father. They often have long discussions about world conspiracies, and from time to time they pause and they look at me and they smile. And I know just what they're thinking. We'll always be there to protect you. Oh, I just keep knitting and I smile back. Don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't love my husband or my daughter. It's just that, do they have to be so protective? Get this, Max thought I was crazy when he walked in and found me cutting up travel ads all over the kitchen table. He looked at them and he said, "You don't even like Chinese food." And I said, "Well, it's not China, Max, it's Indonesia. It's tigers and rice fields and jungles and coral reefs, and it's where I want to go." And I put down my scissors, looked him right in the eye, just daring him to tell me no. Then I said something I couldn't believe I was saying, "And I want to go alone." I don't know who was more surprised, Max or me. He just kept shaking his head and he said, "Are you crazy?" But I held my ground, and the next day I went to the travel agent and I said, "I want to take a trip." And it was that simple. Nothing like I had imagined, certainly nothing to be protected from. Max was afraid. He said, "What are you going to eat? You don't even know anybody. What if something happens? You don't speak the language. Oh, how can you do this?" And that's what was important. How could I do that to him, was what he meant. How could I do that to him? Well, then he said, "What are you going to see there that you can't see right here at home? Why, if you want to see old things, go to the museum. Heck, I'll even take you there if you quit cutting that paper." But I kept cutting. I think it scared Max. Do you know that the rice fields in Java are a color green that we don't even have a name for? They're not Kelly or emerald or lime. They're just a beautiful, luscious color that makes you hungry. And they're so thick that they just drip down the sides of the mountain. Oh, Max would have protected me from that. Max wanted me to take a bus tour. He wanted me to sit safely in my assigned seat, listening to a tour guide point out sights from behind hermetically sealed windows. And over there on the right is the president's palace, and wish the bus would move on. And on the left is a magnificent mosque, and wish the bus would keep moving. And way over there, beyond the trees, if you can see it, there's a beautiful Buddhist temple. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Oh, there are people who travel from Jakarta to Banyuwangi, and they think that the average temperature is a cool, air-conditioned 68 degrees. These are people that go to designated places and see designated things and eat designated food. Oh, they're people that never get off the damn bus. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. It's just that it's true. And it's all right there before their eyes, but they don't see it. All because they have someone to protect them. When I shopped, I always bargained. And in the end, they would say to me, "You good bargainer, where are you from?" And we would talk. People who didn't even know me wanted to know what I had to say. That never happened to me before. And then there was the beautiful music that tingled and bombed, and puppets that you only saw in shadows, and a sun that never grew cold, and an upside down moon, and bathrooms with only 3 sides. And the fourth side opened right up into the jungle, where roosters sitting in trees were looking right at you. Oh, the people on the bus need 4 walls. Max needs 4 walls. I thought I did, but I don't. I discovered that. I also discovered that there was no me inside of me. Oh, there was lots of Max there, and lots of my daughter, but there was no me. Oh, so sad. But now there is. Now there's a me who knows things. There's a me who knows where to buy the best nasi goreng in all of Ubud. There's a me who knows how to say thank you, tarimakashi. There's a me who knows that she can go anywhere and nobody's going to ask, where is your husband, dear? Did you leave him in the store buying you things? And even if they did dare to ask, I would just smile and say, I'm on my own this trip. Well, you know, it's not that I don't want to be with Max. It's that I don't need to be. And that's what's important. Well, I'm going home now, but I'm not going to call Max. I'm going to take a cab all by myself. Taxi! Taxi!